Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Old Man Rambles. Now, this isn't the video that I initially wanted to make, but um, I felt the need to make it anyway because something uh, came across my feed. I want to talk about illegal immigrants, illegal immigration. Um, it came across my news feed. There was a big big crackdown in some state. I don't remember which one right now. It was like the biggest mass arrest in the state by ICE. And I made the mistake of looking at the comments. I don't know why I keep doing it to myself. I must hate myself. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about illegal immigration specifically. What I want to talk about is some of the rhetoric surrounding it. And in that regard, I'm also going to want to talk to particularly people of my generation because I know them best, but the comments that I make can apply to any generation, provided the items apply. Now, one of the things that there are basically two comments regarding immigration and the deportation of immigrants that I keep running across. One of them is that, if they're living in the country without being a citizen, then they should be deported. That's not anything legal. That's just someone's opinion. You're allowed to live here without being a citizen legally. There is no constitutional requirement that you be a resident and also be a citizen. You can live here as long as you want, provided you've gone through the proper steps, have the proper paperwork, proper permits, yada, yada, yada. You can live here indefinitely and not be a citizen. That is perfectly legal. And whether or not you think someone needs to be a citizen, that it's mandatory you become a citizen, is only a matter of opinion. It has, and opinions, as they say, are like assholes. So that out of the way, I'm not going to discuss that any further because you really can't convince someone their opinion is wrong. The other comment, rhetoric surrounding illegal immigration, is the fact that they've entered the country illegally, therefore they are criminals, therefore they should be deported. Now, again, I'm speaking particularly to my generation because I know them best. When we were younger, perhaps even now when we're older, but our coming of age, mid-70s to mid-80s, during that time frame, how many of you supplied alcohol to minors? Went off to college, became an upperclassman, gave booze to your underclassmen, or your younger brothers or sisters, or their younger brothers and sisters' friends. Not even going to college. If you're just living around town, you're above the age, you gave alcohol to high school kids. How many of you bought marijuana or other drugs before marijuana is legal? There are still conditions in which marijuana is illegal, even in the states where they are legal. They're still, you're allowed recreational up to a certain small amount. Anything above that is illegal. But how many of you in the 70s and 80s bought marijuana when the criminal penalties were at their highest? How many of you drove drunk? I'm not talking after having a few beers, but drove drunk enough that you should definitely not have been behind the wheel. Supplying alcohol to a minor carries a maximum jail time of up to a year. Illegal possession of marijuana can have penalties of 6 months to a year, all the way up to 10 years, depending on how much is in your possession. And drunk driving has jail time of up to a year. At least, in the states that I've looked it up, that seems to be the most common. If you have done any of these activities, and other things too, you have broken the law and you are a criminal. If you drove drunk, supplied alcohol to minors, or bought marijuana up to illegal amounts, which I know you have, all three of those things, you're a criminal. You have willfully and deliberately broken the law, and you are a criminal. Now, I know the responses to this. It's a victimless crime. These laws are stupid. And you don't think of yourselves as a criminal, but you are. You willfully and knowingly broke the law because you found those laws inconvenient to yourself. You broke those laws because they got in the way of you having a good time. You wanted to get high. You wanted to get your friends drunk. You wanted to get drunk. You wanted to drive home drunk. You broke the law because it was inconvenient. And in the case of driving drunk, you put people's lives in danger because you didn't feel like being responsible. The people coming to this country from South America and South and Central America are coming to this country to make a better life for themselves, either because of the opportunities that they see in America that are better than their own country, or in some cases they are fleeing war or gangs or crime from their own country. They are coming here for opportunity or safety. They're breaking the law for the betterment of themselves. You broke the law for fun and for no other reason. I am reminded of a certain phrase, "Let he who was without sin cast the first stone." And all of you people whining about illegal immigrants being criminals, so many of you are worse criminals than they are. Good hunting.